Neve Campbell is back in Scream 7. Now, this is directed and co-written by Kevin Williamson, who wrote the original Scream and the original I Know What You Did Last Summer and Dawson's Creek. So you're getting like an amount of the team back together for this film. Now, this is the 7th film in the Scream series, where our heroine is once again being sinisterly and lethally bothered by somebody wearing the ghost face costume and using that same voice and saying, "Hello, Sidney," and asking people if they're like scary movies and all that stuff. Now, I have seen all of the Scream films, all but one, in the theater. I saw the original Scream, which was amazing. Scream 2 I thought was fantastic. Scream 3 I remember being okay. Scream 4 was a bit of a distance later, didn't have many of the original cast members in it from what I recall. I only saw it once on video, but I remember liking Scream 4, thinking for a movie that didn't need to be made, this was kind of sharp, and it was Wes Craven commenting on sequels and reboots, but with much like the Scream series is at its best when it is commenting on and skewering horror genre tropes, sometimes very overtly and sometimes not as much so. And over the years, as this latter-day Scream series, Scream 4 came out, and then there was a bit of a distance, and then we've had 5, 6, 7 in pretty close proximity. And to me, they just feel like cash grabs, because they are. They're playing on, safe bets. Hollywood is about safe bets. Hollywood is about IPs. Hollywood is about what do people love that they already know what it is, so we don't have to try as hard. It's less of a financial risk if we give people something they already like. And that's what we get with these Scream movies. And these Scream movies have found ways, sometimes doing mental gymnastics, to find ways to bring original cast members back, to bring back original cast members that died back in the 90s in these films back, sometimes with really dodgy CGI and sometimes with other things. I'm not going to get into spoilers. You might have seen this already. I believe in perpetual spoilers. I'm not going to spoil the original Scream. That's how some people have never seen it. So I went into Scream 7 with really no expectations. I enjoyed okay the last few Scream movies as an exercise, more time spent in the world of Scream, even if it was what I always hate about First of all, between you and me, if we're being honest, how many decades later sequels were really worth your time? I don't think very many. I think at best they give super fans a thrill. They give a thrill to the people who are not old enough to see the original good ones in the theater, and they give super fans a thrill where it's just like, oh boy, it's so-and-so again. Oh boy, she's doing it again. Whereas at the end of the day, I'm like, if we're being honest, we would have been better off just watching the good ones again. I'm the same way about the Star Wars sequels. But if you want to see Neve Campbell on the big screen again, with honestly a very meaty role this time. She's very good in this, and she's in it a lot. This isn't what you fear it's going to be if you're like me, where it's like, remember that movie you loved from a long time ago? Yeah. Remember the characters that you really love in those movies? Yeah. Well, we're bringing all that back. Oh, really? Yeah. And it's going to be about their kids. This sort of, I'll get into the basic plot. So it is 30-something years since the events of Scream. There have been many, many occasions where Sidney, the main character here, is terrorized by somebody, as I said earlier, using that voice and dressed as the killer, and it's always revealed to be somebody somehow connected to her who feels wronged by her, and they're resurrecting the spirit of the killer. And spirit in turn, not like tapping the table and using a Ouija board, but spirit in terms of the motivations and the style of the killer. And it's happening again. Now the target is Sidney has moved on. She's married to Joel McHale, a cop in a small town far away from Woodsboro. She has a young daughter. She has 2 other kids who we don't really see in the film. They're at grandma's house. They appear like via FaceTime very briefly. And the killer is threatening her again. The killer is stalking her daughter and her daughter's young friends because he has to kill teenagers. And Sidney will have none of this. She's a Pistol-Packin mama. She's a fierce mama bear. And she is, think Jamie Lee Curtis in the more recent Halloween movies. In these films, Sidney is like, she cusses, she packs heat, and she is not afraid to use it. So you have a very proactive and very fierce Sidney in this, who's basically, when the first call comes in the film, she's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yep, you're going to kill us all. Until something shows her that maybe this is real and more serious. So once again, we have the cast of characters that are not terribly interesting beyond the original cast members. I'm not going to tell you all the original cast members who appear in this because it's surprises, but I'm super not spoilery. You know that Sidney is in it, you know that Neve Campbell is in it, but I'm not going to tell you who else shows up and how they show up and how the writers and filmmakers figure out a way for these people to show up. Some of it does comment on modern technology, and whereas the original Scream films, as I said, skewered genre tropes and cliches and things that made the horror genre tired, and in doing that reinvigorated the horror genre, only to lead to a whole bunch of films that just copied Scream and became tired. Here, at best, it feels like it's commenting on true crime obsessives, people who are true crime fans, or this weird dynamic that has come up through documentaries and podcasts and things where people are obsessed with and like fans of killers or victims. It sort of comments on that a little bit, actual tragedy as entertainment to people. It comments a little bit on the use of like AI and deep fakes and sequels and nostalgia and all that. You don't have Randy around to do the rules anymore because he's no longer with us. So you have which was shoehorned into Scream 5, I believe, his like niece and nephew, and his niece is the media obsessed, movie obsessed person who's going to tell you all the rules, which is just a way to shoehorn in the same thing we've seen before. And the film is very well shot. It is, I get choked up when I talk about good cinematography. It's well shot and cut. It is pretty well cast for the most part. It looks good, and it nails the excitement. It nails it. Some people, it's all about the kills, all about the gore. Yes, there are kills. Yes, there is gore in this film, so there is that for you. I was kind of okay with it up to a point. I'm not going to tell you anything about what happens in this film beyond what I already did, but when it gets to the point of revealing the killers, before that, there's a moment where something really bad happens, and then the family collects itself. The family in this film is Sidney, her husband, and her daughter, named after a friend from the original film. They go back home with an incredible amount of police because he's a local cop. He's just like, hey, everybody, please follow me home to make sure the killer isn't in our house and that we can get all of our stuff and go somewhere safe. And I'm not going to say what happens, but something conflict happens, and suddenly there's no police anywhere. Narratively convenient. The 10 cop cars that were there for the family, and then the family basically says, okay, we've cleared the house, that's cool, we're going to be out of here in 5 minutes. In that 5 minutes, apparently every cop is somewhere else, and then all this bad stuff happens. There are multiple times in the film where someone's holding a knife, someone's holding a gun. That gun, I think, that bullet's going to move a little faster than that knife is going to move. There's multiple times where the killer could have been just eradicated and isn't. And yeah, it's a horror movie. People will say, yeah, sometimes there's not a lot of logic in films because, hey, it's just a movie. But I always say, like, if it was a better movie, I wouldn't be thinking about this. My big fall apart moment was when you get to the very end of the film and the perpetrator is revealed, and it's just like, who is that again? Boy, those motivations are kind of really tenuous and really pretty stupid. I thought the ending just fell apart, and I was like sitting there, saw it in Dolby, saw it on a nice big screen, great sound, and I was just rolling my eyes. I'm like, this is just stupid. Just wrap this up. And then playing whack-a-mole with the killer, and the killer being sort of superhuman when the killer who is revealed to be somebody who really shouldn't be superhuman. I mean, they did a pretty good job with the red herrings throughout and keeping you guessing, and then somebody would be killed and you're like, well, apparently that's not who I thought that might be the person. It's not. And it didn't ultimately work for me, despite having original cast members and despite having Neve Campbell. And there's use of technology to give us ex-cast members, but those ex-cast members, they have now aged 30 years. And if you're recreating some people digitally, why would you be aging? I don't know. It made me think more than I should have about things that I shouldn't have been thinking about. If you're a mega Scream fan, maybe you'll love it. Or if you're a casual Scream fan, you'll probably like this. I wouldn't say it's a terrible movie. I just think it reminds me that there have probably been 3 or 4 sequels too many at this point. And the older I get and the more I rewatch horror franchises, most of which I was never that big a fan of anyway, when you watch them all in a row close together especially, it becomes obvious somebody made a really good movie. Maybe somebody made another good movie after that. But after that, it's just trying to recreate what worked with that first movie again and again with diminishing returns. And maybe you just want to see the same thing over and over again, but I'm the kind of person that doesn't for the most part. Except unless you give me the Carry On series, and I'll just watch Kenneth Williams go, ooh, over and over again. Let this be known that this is the only review on record of Scream 7 that mentions the Carry On series. So your mileage may vary, you may love it. It's certainly decently made. It's certainly, if you're not too critical about it, it's a fun thrill ride in the theater. I just felt like, how many more times can this ridiculous thing happen to this woman? And how many, I guess it's a concept that's either brilliant or sets up a franchise that can last forever, because there can always be another person who buys this costume and decides to terrorize a bunch of people and make prank phone calls. One thing I will mention too that is very me, and most people think I'm crazy when I get into this rant, but faux Americans in films. I love British actors. I love British film and media. I love Australian actors. I love Australian film and media. There is some secret rule in Hollywood that just about everything has to feature a British or Australian actor playing an American. Now, it wouldn't bother me if I didn't have a very keen ear for a fake American accent. And the actor who plays the boyfriend of Sidney's daughter in this film, literally from the first word out of his mouth, I'm like, he's a faux American. And every time he talked, I'm like, why are you talking that way? And I've said this before, and people are like, it's just about finding the best actor for the job. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's great if that's the case, but you're not casting somebody in this role who's really kind of known by too many people. And no offense to the actor who may be a wonderful person and may be great when not trying to do an American accent, this clearly wasn't about the best actor for the role. So I don't know. It's a mystery thing to me. It's very strange, and it bugs me. And it's a thing that it's my psychosis that I have to deal with. So beyond him, the young cast, I never feel like I got to know any of them to really care when they started getting killed. McKenna Grace is in there, who's probably the most notable actress in the film aside from the main leads. And it's cool to see her. It's wild to see what she looks like in contrast to what she looked like as the kid in those new Ghostbusters movies. And you just don't see anybody long enough to care. They don't really, they are their character types, but I kind of wished I never felt like the movie was too long either. I kind of wish there was a little more time spent with those people so that I could have known them better, because some of them were kind of likable, some were pretty annoying, some were serious red herrings. But anyway, Scream 7 in theaters now. Everything's better in a theater. See it in a theater if you can. And let me know what you think, if you agree or disagree with Scream 7.